Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Today, my friends, we are celebrating the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time. And we are drawing closer and closer to the end of the liturgical year. There are 2 remaining Sundays, for this liturgical year, and then we will be celebrating Christ the King. And that would mark the end of the liturgical year. Ibig sabihin po, malapit na ang Pasko. Ganun kabilis ang takbo ng buhay natin ngayong 2020. Napakalinaw. Sobrang linaw, 2020 talaga. No? Mula January hanggang December, malinaw na malinaw. Anyway, and as we draw closer to the end of the liturgical year, as I have mentioned last Sunday and during the weekday masses, the Church gives us bits and pieces of elements that would point us to a reflection on the end of times. Yung katapusan. Yung mga maririnig nating mga ebanghelyo, yung mga patikim, mga pakiliti, na magdadala sa atin sa pagninilay sa katapusan ng ng lahat ng ito. Dahil sa katapusan ay sweldo, sa katapusan, ay muling magbabalik ang Panginoon. Ang Panginoong Jesucristo. And no one can argue against that because it was Jesus Himself who told us that He will come back. And the angels who met the apostles, the disciples, after the ascension said, don't worry, He will come back in the same way that you saw Him ascend into heaven, He will return. So wala na tayong arguments doon. Alam natin na sa huli, magbabalik ang Panginoon. And so the gospel tells us of the same gesture of the bridegroom. Kung nakinig tayo sa ebanghelyo, kinukwento ng Panginoong Jesucristo ang konteksto na mayroong lalaki at babae na ikinasal. Alam nyo, sa kultura ng mga Hudyo, hindi katulad ngayon, Ngayon, kapag kinasal na yung lalaki at babae, magkasama na sila agad. Di ba? Usually, in the usual manner, magkasama na agad yan. Either nakatira sila sa bahay kasama ng immediate family or they have their own house already. Pero sa kanila, hindi. Ikinasal na sila, pero hindi pa sila magkasama. Ikinasal na yung lalaki at babae, pero yung babae nakatira pa rin sa kanyang magulang, yung lalaki nakatira pa rin sa kanyang pamilya. Bakit ganun? Kasi nung panahon nila, ang kasal nangyayari ng maaga. As early as 12, 13, 14 years old. Huwag niyong gagawin yan ngayon. Kultura nila yun, Kultura nila yun. Hindi tayo Hudyo. Kultura nila yon. So ikinasal sila at sila'y magkahiwalay. Kaya pinakaintay nila talaga yan. Yung panahon na pwede na silang magsama. Can you imagine the feeling, of the bridegroom and the bride? They have been waiting for this moment, and not only the couple, but also their relatives, their families, their friends. And so the wise and the foolish virgins, they were included in the entourage. Yan ang role ng members ng entourage. Ngayon, ang entourage darating na lang sa kasal. Late pa. Andyan na yung bride, yung abay, wala pa. Biro lang. Hindi lang sa kasal mismo, hanggang sa oras na sila'y magsasama na yung mag-asawa. And so the wise and the foolish virgins, the 10 virgins, were there to celebrate with the bridegroom and the bride. And their task was to wait for the bridegroom's arrival and lead him in a procession towards the home of the bride. And the virgins took with them lamps. The wise virgins, meron silang extrang oil. Yung foolish virgins, walang dalang extrang oil. And we know the rest of the story. Dumating ang bridegroom, wala ng oil yung 5. Kaya bumili sila, no? Pero pagbalik nila, nasa loob na. Nakatrangka na ang pintuan. No? What does this tell us? It speaks of the church as the bride. And Jesus is the bridegroom who will come. And each of us, members of the entourage, are expected to bring our lamps. And our lamps will light the way of the bridegroom. And that lamp, my friends, is our heart. And the oil is the grace of God. The oil is the grace of God. What made the 5 wise virgins wise? They were wise because they brought with them extra flasks of oil, knowing that the bridegroom may be delayed in his arrival. Baka malate yung bridegroom, yung lalaki. Kaya ready sila. At pinuno nila ang kanilang mga lamps. Nagdala sila ng extra na oil para sa kanilang mga lampara. Yung mga foolish virgins naman, hindi nagdala. Siguro kung ano lang nadampot nila. What made them wise? The first reading for today from the book of Wisdom describes to us what wisdom is. Wisdom, the first reading tells us, is personified. Wisdom is not just an abstract idea. Wisdom is not just something that you read in books. Wisdom is personified, the first reading tells us. She goes around and she seeks people. Wisdom na ang naghahanap sa tao, sabi ng first reading. Father, yun naman pala eh. Bakit hindi tayo lahat wise? Because there is a question of, on our part, are we seeking wisdom? Are we seeking wisdom? Wisdom that comes from above. And we know that in the New Testament, this wisdom is incarnated, personified in Jesus. Wisdom seeks us. But the question is, are we seeking wisdom? Gusto ba natin yung karunungan na galing sa itaas? At ang karunungan na ito, mga kapatid, ay magsasabi sa iyo, punuin mo ang iyong lampara ng langis. At magdala ka pa ng ekstrang langis. Wisdom will tell you, fill yourself with the grace of God. Choose the things of God. Bring with you His graces. On the contrary, The foolish virgins did not bring any oil other than what was there in their lamps. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Why? Bakit yun lang ang dala nila? Bakit yun lang? Siguro, ini-imagine ko rin yung kadahilanan. Siguro, na preoccupied sila ng iba pang mga bagay. Siguro, na busy sila sa pagdaayos ng kanilang damit. Siguro, nagkokolorete. No? Siguro, ang dala nila, extra eyeliner. O lipstick. No? Ibig sabihin, it was not important for them whether they had extra oil or not. That made them foolish. That made them foolish. They were not able to seek wisdom because they wanted to enjoy, or rather, they were already enjoying their foolishness. They were enjoying other things. Ibang mga bagay. Hindi ang grasya ng Diyos. Sino ang marunong na Kristiyano? Siyang nagpupuno ng kanyang sarili ng mabubuting bagay, ng grasya ng Diyos. Upang kapag may dumating, o kapag dumating na ang Panginoong Jesucristo, handa siya. At ang liwanag ng kanyang sarili, dulot ng biyaya o grasya ng Diyos, ang magliliwanag sa daan. And so we ask ourselves, my friends, are we wise? When Jesus comes today, do we have enough oil in our lamps? Do we have enough graces in our lives? Nakapag-ipon ba tayo ng biyaya ng Diyos, ng grasya ng Diyos, ng kabutihan ng Diyos na siyang magdadala sa atin kasama ni Jesucristo sa loob ng kaharian? But you know, some might argue, no, na we cannot really blame the foolish virgins kasi they waited for so long. Nag-antay sila eh. And that waiting, my friends, is important, an important element in the gospel. Because our waiting must not be seen as waiting in vain. Kung ang idadahilan natin ay, nag-antay sila ng matagal eh. Ibig sabihin, yung pag-aantay na yun na nangyari ay walang kwenta para sa kanila. Yung pag-aantay na nangyari sa kanila ay nakasira pa sa kanila. But the waiting, my friends, in the gospel is a hopeful waiting. And the bridegroom will not let us wait in vain. The bridegroom will not allow us to wait for so long and then wala namang mangyayari. He will not allow that. Jesus will come for sure. And so there is no question whether it is worth the wait or not. The question is, are we prepared as we wait? Handa ba tayo? Puno ba tayo ng biyaya ng Diyos? Puno ba tayo ng biyaya ng Diyos? Na anuman ang mangyari sa paghihintay na ito, sa huli, darating siya. Kaya ang pupunuin dapat ang ating pagpupuno ng lampara ng ating buhay ay dapat isang pagpupuno ng pag-asa. And only wise people can do that. Alin ang pumupuno sa ating buhay? And we can already answer that by looking at the things that preoccupy us every day. Are these things encounters of grace for me? Ito bang mga bagay na ito tinutulungan akong maging mas mabuti? Kapag sa isang sitwasyon, ang aking pananalita ba, ang aking paggalaw, ang aking pag-iisip, ay pawang mga bagay na magdudulot sa akin ng mas marami pang biyaya mula sa Diyos. Ito ba'y magdudulot sa akin ng mas marami pang kabutihan at grasya? Ano ang umuubos sa oras natin? Are they worthwhile? Will they lead us towards a brighter future with God? But some people, let me end with this, some people might not have the brightest of lives. I read an article about a teacher, a former teacher. He was a math, statistics, yung mga dinumerong mga subject. Yan yung mga ayaw ko. No? Yun yung kanyang tinuturo. No? Galing niya sa math. Itong si Harold ang kanyang pangalan. He has been teaching these subjects for more than a decade. But then, he had a stroke. The only thing that he was doing was teaching. Wala siyang asawa, walang anak. Ibinuhos niya ang kanyang sarili sa pagtuturo. At siya ay na-stroke. At medyo malala yung nangyari sa kanya. Rendering him immobile. Ibig sabihin, hindi na kayang lumakad. Hindi na kayang gumalaw. But then just recently, his sister posted his picture on the social media, which captured the hearts of many. Ano yung picture na yun? Harold, who was suffering from a stroke, was teaching the child of his sister. Tinuturuan niya yung kanyang pamangkin. Tinuturuan niya yung kanyang pamangkin sa lessons, especially sa math. At ang sabi, gagawin ko dahil kaya ko pa naman yun. He might not be able to go to the school or go online and take care of himself. But it did not hinder Harold in choosing something that is good. Kahit siya ay hindi na makalakad, kahit siya hindi na makagalaw ng maayos. Tayo, na kompleto pa. Tayo, na kaya pang gumalaw. Tayo na kaya pang magsalita ng diretso. Tayo na kaya pang mag-isip ng malinaw. pinipili ba natin ang mabuti? Dahil ito ang dapat nating ipunin upang sa pagbabalik ng Panginoon, tayo ay handa at tayo makakasama sa loob ng kaharian.